where Fox uncovers stories that the so-called mainstream media should be uncovering. So what does the so-called mainstream media do? They get angry at Fox. This is wrong. This is the spitballs at the battleship argument. But sometimes, Bill, and whether you acknowledge it or not, I'm going to state it. Sometimes Fox brings on the criticism itself. There are some programs on Fox that are not only not fair and balanced, they're commentary shows, they don't have to be, but they brag about how fair and balanced they are. They don't cover rallies and tea parties, they cheerlead for rallies and tea parties. And as a journalist, I am totally against that.
Right.
And to that extent, the criticism is legitimate.
The problem there, though,
by and large, it's not.
That all editorial pages cheerlead for their crew. So if you read any newspaper, the Chicago Tribune, the Los Angeles Times, any newspaper in the country, they'll be cheerleading for global warming.
Right.
And they'll be saying, hey, get out on Earth Day,
right.
Do this, do that. Okay, and I don't have any problem with that. Wait, Bernie, wait. I don't have any problem with get out on Earth Day and be environmentally correct. No problem. They all do it. But if you then take a commentary program, clearly labeled as such, and then they say, hey, you know, you Tea Party people, go on out there and show them that you don't like this big government intrusion. What's the difference between Earth Day and Tea Party? What's the difference?
Well, the difference, I don't want to get too inside baseball.
That's a good question, Bernie. What's the difference?
Here's a good answer. Don't pretend that you're being objective. Don't go on the air, and I don't mean you, I mean others on this network. Don't go on the air and say these Tea Parties are a cross-section of America. They are not a cross-section. Don't pretend to be a journalist if you're not a journalist. If you want to be a commentator and comment,
I disagree.
be my guest.
I think that we clearly label here. I think we clearly label it the Fox News Channel. It's a good discussion. Glenn Beck comes on, and Glenn Beck is now in the target. He's the big target. He's coming up later on in the program. So let's get Glenn Beck. Well, what does Glenn Beck do? Glenn Beck comes on, and he basically says, look, I'm every man. I'm not a journalist. He says he's not a journalist. I'm every man, and I'm worried about the country. And this is why I'm worried. And he has the blackboard, and he has this, and this is who I like, Tea Party guys, and this is who I don't like, whoever Beck doesn't like that day.
Right.
I don't see any subterfuge there at all. Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity comes on right after the fact, and Sean Hannity says, look, I'm a Reagan Republican. That's who I am, Sean Hannity. He's not trying to fool anybody. He's not trying to say anything like that. He says, I'm a Reagan Republican. So this is how I see the world. I mean, come on, Bernie. These are legitimate stances. Every man, Reagan Republican. What's the beef?
The commentary part of it is totally legitimate, but to give false information just because you're a commentator is unacceptable.
If it's false information, I agree. But
are you telling me, wait a second, are you telling me that you think those people at the Tea Parties were a cross-section of America? There were as many liberal Democrats as conservatives. There are as many people who voted for Obama.
I didn't hear anybody say there were as many liberal Democrats.
I did. You want a few names?
No,
you want a few names?
Because then I have to go back and research it. But I said there weren't very many black people there.
If I would go on your air and tell you a name, you can go to the bank on it. I'm not going to do it out of respect to you. But
that's wrong, and that's legitimate criticism.
They pretend to be journalists at the same time that they're saying, I'm not a journalist. Well, if you're not a journalist, don't pretend to be one.
I don't know how you can pretend to be a journalist if you say you're not. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, I just told you. They go on the air after they give their opinions, which is fine with me. They then state as facts things that aren't facts at all.
Okay. Well, that's legitimate. And that should be criticized.